Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Patricia Jean Smithyman-Zito. We'll be discussing her fantastic book, Living in the Now, The Secret to Making Each Day Your Best. Available for purchase through Amazon, barnesandnoble.com. But if you guys want to get everything that Patricia has to offer, head directly to her personal sites. Now, there's 3 of them that I'm going to be listing for you today. The first is livinginthenow.book.com, followed by ZitoProHealth.com, and then lastly, livinginthenow.giveaway.com. All 3 of those fantastic sites, you'll be able to gather more information on Patricia herself, more information on this fantastic narrative, as well as find hyperlinks set up to take you to the purchasing pages. So one more time, that's livinginthenow.book.com, ZitoProHealth.com, and livinginthenow.giveaway.com. And you know, I will say that Patricia was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by some of the best movers in the business, Far Eastern Marketing. So if you have a book that you'd like moved, do yourself a favor and contact our great friends over at Far Eastern. And you can find out more information on them at fareasternmarketing.com. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Patricia, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you so much for being a guest. How are you?
I am very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
I love community. I love the way we can gather and spread exponentially. Mm-hmm. I thank you for everything that you do, because it's so powerful. Thanks.
Thank you, Patricia. I appreciate the kind words, and I know we have so much information to cover. But before we jump into the book, let's hold off slightly. Start by telling our listening audience a little bit more about yourself and your background, please.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh. Yay, Steelers. I came to Cleveland to join the convent, the Sisters of the Incarnate Word community, and I was there for 10 years. I grew in leaps and bounds. The religious experience changed who I am totally, and gave me a faith life that I have not been able to stop sharing forever. But I left the convent and got a job in the steel mill. I went from a nun to a stripper. That's my joke. Get it? I took off the hat and put on a hard hat. Took off the veil, put on a hard hat. I took off the habit and put on fireproof clothes and steel-toed shoes and stripped steel. So I went from a nun to a stripper. That's my joke. Okay, anyway, I met my husband there, and we married, and we have 4 kids, and they're all happily married. So we have 4 spouses, and they have blessed us with 6 amazing grandkids that we spoil every minute of every day that we can. So that's my personal journey summary.
It sounds like a beautiful family that you've established and really surrounded yourself with. So nothing but continued success and continued blessings for you and your loved ones. Patricia, without further ado, Living in the Now. Talk to us a little bit more about your book.
Well, my book started from my 50 years of journal work. I taught for 27 years. I was in my church ministry for 35 years. And I'm an interpreter for the deaf, so I interpreted for my deaf friends at the church for almost over 30 years. And all of this time, I had my 50 years where I was journaling in my book, in my books that I had sitting around the house. When I quit working and retired, I'm sitting at home thinking, I have all these experiences, all this wisdom and grace. And my life wasn't perfect. There are a lot of poor choices, a lot of ego influences. But God's mercy led me, and I was able to share in the world in my things I was involved in to help people be happy and healthy and holy. But now I'm sitting at home retired, and I'm thinking all this stuff is spinning around me and nobody's getting it. And I just think the world needs to slow down. So I spent 7 years going through my journals and coming up with ideas of how I could share my experiences with the world. And that started how that's the beginning of my book. I have to help people. I can't stop. It's my personal journey. I don't want them to have to get to be old. I'm old. I don't want them to have to learn through pain and suffering and making mistakes. And sometimes mistakes can't be fixed. I want them to be young. I want young readers. Young people they easily connect with who they are. They believe who they are. Their true self is still real. Their ego is not powerful yet. But then the world tells us who we are, how we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to think, what we have to do. And we can't fit in any of those molds. So we're outside searching for happiness and fulfillment and how to be complete. And it's inside. And that's what I learned over 70 some years. I want them to find their power source and make their own programs, make their ego be a tool that helps them in life. I want them to stop the chaos. I want them to bask in abundance when they're young. And they can change the world from their abundance a lot faster than waiting till they're in their 70s to publish their book. So that was my vision. And I don't know, I have to tell you about my one experience, and I guess it would be called my literary pilgrimage or whatever, to explode my awareness of what I know I have to do. And that's when my mom and I went to Israel, and we spent 10 days there walking the steps where Jesus walked. I was in the convent for 10 years. I have a prayer life. I know what it means to retreat within and be in holy space. But we went down this well. We went 70 steps in circles and circling around and around, going down, down, down. And to me, it was like what I tell people when you're trying to pray, to sit down and be still and just try to go deeper and deeper and deeper into your silence, into your empty space, and where there's no chaos, no noise, no influence, no shoulds or have to, just keep going down. And then we went down these 70 steps in this circular path and went into the cistern or the well where they dropped Jesus, lowered him into this as this prison for overnight. And I really thought about the fact that Jesus had been there. He put his hands on the walls. He moved over every inch of that cistern because it was his pitch black prison for the night. I put my hands and my face against the walls, and his presence overflowed into my being. My call to write about inner searchings for this kind of a mystical experience has never stopped. It overflows. This was profound for me. I don't know how to make it profound for you, the reader, but I know I can help you in your journey. It's about mastering our mind. I call it your mental plane. And then you master our environment. I call that your physical plane. Because your body believes everything your mind tells it. Our mind makes up our world to be exactly what it wants. And the sad part is that we live in it and believe it. It's all pretend. So when we stop the chaos and the confusion and the fast-paced everything, we breathe, we look around, we see the real world. We hear our true self. And I call that the spiritual plane. It's waiting for our entire life for us to stop and shift and go inside for everything instead of outside. The world says you need this, you need that. Inside, you don't need anything. I think of it before you're born, in eternity, I mean, in heaven, or whatever you want to call it, you and your true self were holding hands, walking around, singing, happy, everything was perfect. Then you had to go be born and become a human being. And your true self, you left your true self. Here you are. Now you're struggling. Now it ain't working right. It's just life. But the whole point of life is to get back to your true self, where you were happy, holding hands, walking around, singing, and everything was good. So my book is 40 Days to Deeper Prayer, Greater Self-Awareness. It's a journey to master your mind, and I have all kinds of questions and steps and things to do to get a hold of how we think and how we can change that. And then you master your physical plane and how you take care of yourself, how you eat and sleep and exercise, and what you put in and what whether it's food or information, all of those things to take care of your true self. Here's one thing, I don't get off track here, but I went to a spiritual advisor one time, and I was on the path, of course. Like I said, my path wasn't always so perfect, but I went in complaining. I'm so busy. I'm doing everything. I'm so exhausted. I just don't feel, I'm not happy. And she stopped me in my tracks, and she looked at me and she said, "You got your priorities all mixed up." I said, "What are you talking about? I've been trained. I know how it goes. I studied. I don't have my priorities out of order. God's first, and all the people are next, and then whatever's left I do for myself." And she goes, "See, there's the problem. And you might think this is heretical, but you come first. God comes second. Everybody else comes third." I said, "Oh, this is shocking. I can't even absorb this." And she said, "Well, think about it. God is in you. You belong in the presence of God, in that light. You can't get there if you're not taking care of yourself. You can't tell anybody anything when you're not putting yourself as a priority first. They'll see God when you're tough, strong, able, happy." And I went, "Oh, wow. I like that." And that was a big shift in my thinking. I come first, God comes next, and everybody else will get the overflow, because God and I make a really great team. And I became much happier when I stopped telling God how my life should be and just let God lead. Oh, it was all a big transformation. But I have all kinds of experiences like this, and I just have to share them. I must tell people, you can master how you think. The freedom of having a little self-control on purpose, your journey explodes. It's packed with everything you already have, and it's all the stuff you already know. All you need to do is spend a little time, retreat within, pray, meditate, wake up your awareness, and it enables your present moment to be real. Our now is all we have. Our now is all we need. And the thing is, our now is all we get. But if we can settle down, we can find who we are and what we're doing here and really understand our truth. We can hold the now in the palm of our hand and let it take us to the next now, and not have anything to worry about, and know that it's all good. It's just, we have to stop. So profound changes can happen in a minute. As soon as you say, "I get that," like she told me, you have to take care of yourself. And wow, my body liked that idea. My brain thought that was pretty cool. I'm going to let go of this pattern of unbroken things and start over. So the journal book does that. It gives you specific things to do, and it works. You write right in the book, so the reader becomes the writer of my book, And my goal was that at the end of 40 days, you have changed. Like Jesus, 40 days in the desert. He went to pray and come back different. It's like Lent, 40 days of Lent. You make a sacrifice or two, and you come out at the end, and you're better. You're different. So my book, it's 40 days. When you come out of the 40 days, deeper prayer, greater self-awareness, and hopefully you have habits in place that will put you first so that God shines, and then you change the world from your abundance.
Fantastic. Patricia, I know that you've mentioned, of course, we have the journal within the book that your readers can utilize to reflect on their own discoveries and really keep track of their progress. You've also mentioned that there are a number of questions throughout the pages that really help hone in and figure out how to live in the now. But since we have you here on the line, I'd love to go a little bit more in depth with that. And maybe if you could offer a few of either those questions or a few tips for our listening audience on how they can live in the now.
In the book, one of the first pages in the book is a book review from my friend, Sister Mary Louise. And in the book, she says our relationship with God is on many levels. And the book shows the reader how to discover the levels and to make God alive in their life at each moment of these levels. So I like that because we're all on a different journey, but we're all on the same journey. We're trying to build a relationship with ourselves, and then we can build a relationship that affects others. And that is all in this God relationship. So the readers, you read a little bit, and you pause and you think and you choose how you want this. What kind of a discipline am I going to get out of reading this page or these questions today? Can I really work on what I have started, where I want to go next? Because everybody's path is unique. But the book allows you to make choices. And in answering questions, you can take a question, take a self-reflection question and ask yourself, what was some important thing of self-improvement that I could get out of this page I was reading today? And I can sit down in my journal book and brainstorm all the steps that I want to do that are going to be ways of improving my thinking or my feelings or my environment. Maybe I have to clean my house. Maybe I have to go back to church a little more often now that the pandemic's over. Maybe I have to stop eating all this junk food that I've been eating, and since restaurants were closed, maybe I got to start cooking my own meals. So you write down what your true self is telling you because you stopped. So that's how the journal book works. And then eventually, after the 40 days, you won't need those prompts anymore because you'll be in touch with your true self who'll be saying, "You remember me? I don't want that." So, yeah.
There you have it. There you have it. Guys, listen, what I love about this is we've discussed so much. There's been so much information that have been received already from Patricia, but we've barely scratched the surface. Okay? There's still so much left to be discovered, and that's why the onus is now on you. So Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, LivingInTheNowBook.com, ZitoProHealth.com, and LivingInTheNowGiveaway.com are the places you have to go. Living in the Now, the secret to making each day your best is the title you have to pick up. And Patricia Jean Smithyman-Zito is the author you have to thank for bringing it to your table. Patricia, this has been an absolute honor. Thank you once again for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction.
It has been my pleasure. The now has been wonderful.